Here's something that I don't. Here's a big reason why I don't like Chloe, and it's not. I mean, it's not her fault. It's the writer's fault for making this. And queer people who are in chat, you might understand this trope, and you may have seen it. I have never liked, and it's a trope that I've seen since like the early 2000s, queer character who has a rough life, and they take out their frustration about their rough life on everybody around them. They meet somebody who they're romantically interested in, but there's the queer people can't be happy trope. So they kill off that person who brings them happiness and makes them not hate their life. So now this queer person is left in a spiral, still angry about everything, but they lost that person they care about. And so they latch on to someone unrelated as their scapegoat person. Like, you're my replacement because I don't have any other queer people in my life, but you might be, even like you show some elements of fruitiness, so I'm going to manipulate you so that you fall in love with me. I remember seeing it in Degrassi in particular. I remember seeing it on that, if unless my memory is completely misserving me. I've seen it in a lot of different shows. So they'll latch onto someone who's not necessarily queer. Well, they're not written to be queer. And they latch onto them, they emotionally manipulate them to try and like exploit them for a romantic gain. I don't like that character trope, and that is a very common thing that's happened since the early 2000s. And that is very much what Chloe is. I think Max is written to be very ambiguous. You can sort of put queerness in her if you want to, and you could be like, oh yeah, she could be pan or bi. Or she could be played straight. It's really how you, as the player, choose to interpret her. Sort of like when you look at like Luke Skywalker. You know, how Mark Hamill says if Luke is gay in your canon, then he's gay in your canon. The writing is ambiguous enough. And so with Chloe being a queer person, the way they wrote her is, we're going to kind of emotionally manipulate the viewer into the queerness. And so the queerness is being used as a bait. And it's not, in my opinion, it's not a thing that doesn't happen. This does happen in real life. I knew someone in my hometown who was like that. But it's not my favorite thing. I wish that queerness was handled a little bit with care. Quintuple D. That's just my opinion. Like, this is a very old thing going back to old Hollywood, you know, in like the 20s, 30s, is that there's the queer people can't be happy trope. And so you do things to constantly like sabotage them because of queer coding that has happened in media. I've watched several videos about this. And that's why I don't like Chloe. It's not because of her as a character. It's just because of the writing. I love that she's queer. I love there's queer representation. I love that. It's just, I'm not a fan of that writing style. I hate it when it's like the only trope they can find for queer people is the emotionally abusive queer. Right. You get it. Like, us as queer people, we're not all of it. I mean, people are emotionally abusive. But I feel like the common thing to put on a queer person is, oh, well, they're emotionally abusive. Because it comes off that way from her. Even when we went into the past and we saw her for the first time after 5 years, the first thing that happened was, hi, I just met you. You're a friend who can't say no to me. Will you kill me because my parents won't do it? That is super abusive behavior. And that is super manipulative to be like, you are my friend and you are supposed to love me, so you should do this for me because nobody else around me will, because they don't love me. That is emotional abuse. This is just my thought, because I think a lot of you think I just hate Chloe blindly, that I'm just like, fuck this girl. But like, I think as I'm watching it more and as I'm realizing what's going on, a lot of that is coming up and I'm realizing that's what I'm disliking.